Hello, this is Julie, and welcome to today's class where we will be focusing on creating strong and flexible hips. I will be using a set of blocks for one of the exercises, but don't worry if you don't have any, you can still manage without. Let's rest the hands on our knees, close the eyes for a moment, and breathe in through the nose. Exhale, letting go out through the nose. And then gently opening the eyes. Let's make our way to hands and knees. We'll begin with a warm-up for the hips. So we'll lift the left knee up and we'll circle the knee up and around, stabilizing the rest of the body. So only movement from the hip and the leg. Slow and controlled. And switching the direction. Let's repeat on the right side. So circling the right leg, finding your full range of motion. And switching direction. Alright, let's step the left foot in between the hands, finding a low lunge. Then we'll push the hips back, finding a half split position. Inhale, we'll lengthen through the spine. Exhale, rounding through the back. So we're taking a cat-cow variation with a half split. So inhale, arching, lifting the chin, looking forward. Exhale, rounding, looking towards the navel. Let's circle the foot. So keeping a nice long spine, circling the ankle, focusing on when the foot is in the flexed position, feeling the stretch in the back of the hamstring, switching directions. Inhale, coming forward to low lunge. Exhale, push back to tabletop. Inhale, stepping the right foot in between the hands, lengthening the spine. Exhale, pushing back half split. Inhale, arching the spine. Exhale, rounding and looking towards the navel. Letting your breath guide the movement. Rotating the ankle now. And switching the direction. And inhale, pushing forward to low lunge. Exhale, back to tabletop position. Let's lift a high plank and push back to our first downward facing dog. Pedaling out the legs for a moment. Pushing the weight back towards the feet. Taking some of the pressure off the wrists. And then finding stillness in the legs. And we'll lift the right leg up towards the sky to a three-legged dog. Holding here. Avoid opening up into the hips. So the hip bones are in one straight line. And then bending the knee. And this time you can open up the hip. Keeping the heel close to the glute. Engaging, lifting, and pushing up. Extending through that leg, and then lowering. Inhale, lifting the left leg up towards the sky. Three-legged dog. Then bending and opening up into the hip. Extending out through the leg. Exhale, lowering back into a downward facing dog. Okay, so either staying in your downward facing dog for this exercise if you don't have any blocks, or if you have a set of blocks, then placing the hands onto the highest version of the blocks. And then we'll do some explosive kicks here. We'll extend the right leg out, toes on the ground, and kicking explosively up towards the sky. Still having control over the movement, engaging through the glute in the leg, using a little bit of momentum here. And then we'll lower the foot down towards the ground, and this time we'll lift slowly and controlled. So inhale, lifting, pausing at the top, exhale, lowering, just tapping the toes on the ground. Inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering. Inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering. Inhale, lifting and lowering. Inhale, we'll lift, and then we'll take some small pulses here. So pulsing up 10 times, holding, lifting a bit higher, and then exhale, releasing. And releasing the blocks for a moment, folding forward into your forward fold. All right, let's take it to the opposite side, extending the left leg back onto the toes. And let's take those explosive kicks. No discomfort here. Again, we're controlling the movement. And then let's control the movement a little bit more by taking it slower. So inhale, nice and controlled. Exhale, back down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, each time pausing at the top for a moment. Exhale, back down. Inhale, lifting. And let's take those small pulses for 10. And holding and releasing. Folding forward, stretching out the hamstrings. Okay, and you can set the blocks to the side now. We'll make our way into a downward facing dog. Deep breath here. Inhale, looking in between the hands. Step into the top of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lifting the arms overhead, gazing at the thumbs. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, lifting the arms overhead, gazing at the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to high plank, taking a chaturanga, knees lifted or lowered to the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, pushing back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the right leg up towards the sky, stepping in between the hands, finding a low lunge. And let's lift the upper body up. We'll interlace the fingers, place them behind the head, opening up into the elbows, tucking the back toe. Then we'll lift the back knee. Exhale, we'll lower. So inhale, lifting the knee. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, lower. Lifting and lowering. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, lifting, and this time holding, pushing through the legs. And then lowering, setting the hands on each side of the foot, pressing back to our three-legged dog, and then downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the left leg up towards the sky. Big step in between the hands. Settling into our low lunge. Active and engaged legs, interlacing the fingers, placing them behind the head. Tucking the back toes, and then we'll get ready to lift. So inhale, lifting the back knee. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, lifting. and exhale, and keep going. This isn't an easy exercise, requires a lot of strength, but really good for opening and strengthening the hips. Inhale, lifting, exhale. And final one, inhale, lifting and holding and breathing. Deep inhale. Exhale, staying. Inhale, engaging through the glutes and the legs. Exhale. Then lowering the knee, setting the hands on each side of the foot, and pushing back to a three-legged dog and lowering the foot. Well done. Inhale, looking in between the hands, big step to the top of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lifting the arms overhead, gazing at the thumbs. Exhale, Samastitihi. Inhale, lifting the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back, high plank. Taking a chaturanga. Modifying if needed. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the right leg up towards the sky and stepping to the outside of the right hand. Looking forward, finding our high lizard position. Squeezing the legs and the back knee, thinking about pulling it up and back. So the muscle fibers in the legs are pulling in opposite directions. Feeling a nice stretch throughout the legs. Let's lower the back knee. We'll take a twist here. So the right elbow will lower down to the ground. It's okay if it doesn't touch. And then inhale, we'll reach up towards the sky. So exhale, bring the elbow down towards the ground. Inhale, reaching. So the forearm is parallel to the ground. Seeing if you can place it onto the ground. Then inhale, reaching, stacking the shoulders. And we're engaging throughout the glutes as we do this exercise. So we're targeting the hips. Take a couple variations with the back knee lifted. So again, forearm parallel to the ground, touching or as close as you can. Then inhale, reaching. And final one. Inhale, extend. Then setting the palm on the ground. And then stepping back to our downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the left leg to our three-legged dog. Big step to the outside of the left hand. High lizard. Looking forward. Active legs. So the weight is in the legs. The hands is just a gentle supportive balance. Lowering the back knee. The left forearm parallel to the ground, touching the ground. And inhale, reaching up towards the sky. Exhale, lowering. Inhale, reaching. And keep going. And tucking the back toes, lifting the back knee. Again, forearm parallel to the ground. Reaching down towards the ground and then reaching up. Still keeping the weight in the legs active. The muscle fibers of the legs are pulling in opposite directions. Setting the hand on the ground and pushing back to a downward facing dog. Inhale, looking in between the hands. Big step to the top of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lifting the arms overhead. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to high plank, taking a chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the right leg up towards the sky, and big step in between the hands. Low lunge once again. Exhale, pushing back to a half split position. I'll use my blocks for this exercise to lift my chest up. So if you have your blocks, grab onto your blocks, or you can grab onto a wall to add some stability to the exercise. Feel free to do so. So we're going to flex the foot, engage throughout the leg, locking out the knee. Then inhale, we'll lift, and exhale, lower. Inhale, lifting, exhale, and keep going. These are quite intense for the hip flexors, but really good for strengthening and gaining control of our joints. The next time we'll lift, we'll hold for a moment. So deep breath in, deep breath out, deep breath in, and then setting the foot down. Then inhale, lengthening throughout the spine. Exhale, folding forward, taking a passive stretch in a half split position. Keeping a micro bend in the knee. Deep, steady breaths, gazing at the toes. Inhale, pushing forward to low lunge, and pushing back to downward facing dog. Inhale, lifting the left leg up towards the sky, stepping in between the hands, low lunge. Exhale, pushing back to a half split, lifting the chest, flexing the foot, active thigh, the knee locked, and then inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering, inhale, lift, exhale, lower, inhale, lifting, exhale, using no momentum here, just pure strength. And then we'll hold at the top, breathing, inhale, deep exhale, inhale, then exhale, setting the heel down, extending through the spine and folding from the hips, settling into the stretch, breathing. Setting your blocks off to the side. Inhale, pushing forward to a low lunge. Exhale, pushing back, downward facing dog. Inhale, looking in between the hands, big step forward, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, Samasthiti. Inhale, reaching the arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, stepping back to high plank. Setting the knees. And sitting onto the heels, bringing the knees out to a wider position, and we'll take a wide-legged child's pose. So walking the hands out, when the spine and the arms are completely extended, setting the heels of the hands into the ground, then the whole palm and the fingertips. Exhale, then lowering the belly, the chest, and finally the forehead, settling it into your wide-legged child's pose. Relaxing the hips. And then gently walking the hands back, bringing the knees together. And once again, settling it into a child's pose. And deep breath in through the nose. Deep breath out through the nose. Okay, let's meet in a seated position, placing the hands on the knees, closing the eyes for a moment. Deep breath in through the nose, and then exhaling out through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Bring the hands together in front of the head. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today.